This video is brought to you by Bokksu. Check out the link in the description and not only get 10% off your subscription of traditional snacks from Japan, but also a chance to get tickets to freaking go there! Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. So, with the coming of Animal Crossing New Horizons 2.0, a lot of people, myself included, are so incredibly thankful to Nintendo for finally giving us a quality of life update with this game because I don't know about you guys, but I thought this game was kind of dead in the water after a little while. But now we've got brand new activities, brand new villagers, brand new items, brand new freaking everything to keep us occupied for hours on end. But the more time I explored these new activities, the more I found myself spending hours upon hours of research into all these little cultural nods that just kept coming up that just ballooned into mind-blowing historical trivia.
Wait, how? This is a fantasy game about cute animal friends being unrealistically good neighbors, high-powered capitalist Tanuki, a Shih Tzu secretary that has more idealized fan art of her rump than the peaches you pick up on your island, and truly the greatest fantasy of them all, personal financial solvency. So, where in the world are you getting cultural references?
Well, like, take the new stretching session activity that was introduced in 2.0 for example.
Okay, I mean it's the literal equivalent to Japan's very own Nacho Taiso, or radio exercises. We actually talked about this a long time ago in a video about New Leaf, but while that was only a few images on the TV and only the music to give away the reference, this is the whole thing, verbatim. The music, the movements, everything is one-to-one with Nacho Taiso. And while that is really neat, I don't understand what makes it so mind-blowing.
I take you've never looked into the origin of Nacho Taiso, have you? Thought so. So, this cute little exercise routine here, yeah, this actually didn't get its start in Japan, but rather was taken from the US of A. Back in the 1920s, Japan had sent business envoys to MetLife HQ in New York, where they saw a 15-minute radio calisthenics production created by the company to be played in major cities. The envoys were so impressed with the concept that they took it and brought it back to Japan, where it was used to commemorate the coronation of Emperor Hirohito.
Man, that far back? Explains why the music sounds like it came from the 20s. Wait, Hirohito?
Uh-huh. Nacho Taiso was conceived as a way to keep soldiers of World War II fit and healthy. And from Japan's occupation of Southeast and East Asia, the concept spread to a number of different nations in the area. However, in 1945, the practice was banned by US occupational forces for being too wrapped up in militarism. But after several rewrites of the narration, NHK brought back Nacho Taiso in 1951, and it's still widely practiced today, over 50 years later.
Well, I mean, it may have started off in a rough place, but it eventually ended up being an easygoing exercise practice for individuals and groups, right?
That depends on your perspective, because since 2010, China's been mandating radio exercises as they were first introduced in the 1960s by Mao Zedong. But from what I could tell in interviews, people seem to like this regulation, so what do I know?
Man, that's kinda heavy for something this simplistic.
Well, that's the thing that makes these brand new features of New Horizons so interesting to me personally. Despite how cute or simple this stuff is, I keep finding a lot of really interesting back history to it all. Like, let's take another new activity that was introduced in New Horizons 2.0, farming and cooking. Now with the ability to grow and harvest brand new veggies and fruits, there is a cacophony of food that you can make in Animal Crossing. But there was one recipe in particular that caught my eye, the Allochii fry. A breaded and fried flayed horse mackerel which, dude, even if you hate most Japanese food, you would love this. I mean, I eat this at least twice a month. But the reason you might like it more than other Japanese food is because it's not so much washoku as it is yoshoku, or Western food. See, while tempura as a concept had been imported from Iberian missionaries back in the 1600s and had time to evolve into washoku, Allochii fry didn't really hit the mainstream popularity of Japan till World War II. Heck, breadcrumb frying in general wasn't all that popular until then. But this combination of the working man's fish and a new style of frying gained a lot of popularity really fast as school and street food. And now, according to a 2018 consensus, Allochii fry is considered the third best dish for bento.
Well, Allochii fry may have not been true washoku, but you know what is?
I mean, you're not wrong. If you've been wanting to get a real taste of washoku delivered right to your home, or wanted to give the gift of traditional flavor to someone, I mean, holidays are right around the corner after all, then Bokksu's got you covered. Every month there's a brand new theme based on a season, holiday, or location in Japan. In fact, this month's theme, Prefix Your Passion, is giving you a taste of regional Japan from Ehime all the way to Hokkaido. with my 3 favorites being the Shinshu no Koibito, which has a tempered taste of apple pie, the Yuzu Souffle, which has a light fluffy hint of yuzu lemon combined with a few textured bits of the fruit, and my absolute fave, the Matcha Azuki Crunch, which, I kid you not, tastes like an entire 4-hour tea ceremony in about 15 seconds. Bitter to sweet to a soft bitter again, like sipping tea between confections. There's even seasonal cultural notes and a Japanese vocab section in every booklet now.
Wait, why are there all these travel words?
Well, it's because Bokksu's doing more than just giving you a chance to sink your teeth into traditional Japan via snacks. Bokksu is sending people to Japan. No joke, for folks who sign up with a subscription with Bokksu by December 31st, 5 winners will be selected to get a pair of tickets to Japan. That means you and your BFF, and how's that for a freaking holiday gift? Though, sad to say, this giveaway is only available to US residents, and there's a few other terms and conditions that you can scope out in the description. So, if you want to get or gift a taste of traditional Japan and possibly win a chance to freaking go there with a friend, check out my link in the description and use the code Gaijin10 to get 10% off your subscription. Shipping's worldwide, cancel anytime, and scratch one more off your holiday shopping list. Okay, despite my constant overanalysis over the smallest of things in Animal Crossing, let's finally get to the reason most of you are likely here. Shino. God, where do I even start with this doe?
Wait, doe? She's got horns though. Actually, she's the only doe villager in-game with horns. And they're red? And wait, the positioning of it's at her forehead and yellow eyes, Ikimayu makeup, and well-hidden fangs? Dude, she's no deer, she's a freaking Hanya!
I kinda knew going in that Shino was based on the no mask and the folkloric female Oni, the Hanya, but what I didn't realize is that quite literally everything about her connects her to this demon. So, what are Hanya? A very long and complicated story short, Hanya, who traditionally have the greatest cultural presence in no theater, are female Oni that were transformed through intense jealousy and wrath. With catalysts of this transformation typically being something along the lines of the betrayal or death of a family member or close friend or loved one. Physically, Hanya have twisted, pale faces with yellow eyes and simple yellow horns that protrude from their foreheads. They also bear prominent fangs, but are typically smaller than their male Oni counterparts. But what's most interesting is that a large majority of Hanya in folk stories come from high nobility. Examples of such come from famous no productions like Aoi no Ue, Doujouji, and Momijigari. Now, let's just have a quick look at Shino. Just on her appearance alone, her base color is white, just like the skin of the Hanya. She also has 2 simple thin horns despite being a doe, which the Hanya, who were always female, also always had, though typically they were yellow. She also has yellow eyes, just like the eyes of the Hanya mask. And finally, she has Hikimayu-styled makeup, an 8th century fashion trend originating from China where aristocratic women would pluck or shave their eyebrows and paint on larger, rounded ones using Haizumi powdered ink, a practice that continued until the end of the 17th century. This, alongside Shino's preference of elegant and gorgeous clothing types in-game, easily connects her to the aristocratic women who so often turned into Hanya in no productions.
I mean, if that didn't make it obvious enough, Shino's New Horizons house is covered with old period regal Japanese furniture with an ancient style Kamado stove, all of which reflect her origins and time period. And if that wasn't enough, she has the quote, no mask in the dead center of her room.
But that's only Shino's outward appearance. There's still a lot more that connects her to these noble ladies turned demon. So here's a quick excerpt about Shino from Animal Crossing's mobile game, Pocket Camp. Quote, Shino seems like the quiet, mysterious type. Before she starts talking, that is. She tries to befriend everyone she meets and will probably tell them her whole life story in the process. So this strikes me as her being a bit over-friendly, right? Well, this may not seem like much, but remember that no-play Doujouji that I mentioned? Yeah, there's some uncanny similarities that I'm finding between these two. As the story goes, there was once a girl named Princess Kyo. Now, Kyo was a bit of a troubled girl, and not a lot of people conversed with her. That is until she met the priest Anshin, who would always stop by her father's estate during his pilgrimages. She fell head over heels in love with this guy, and in response, Anshin joked that if she was good, he would come back and marry her one day. And she took this very, very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that when she finally came of age and Anshin came back to the estate on his pilgrimage, she called out his promise. Completely at a loss, Anshin lied again, saying that he would marry her when he came back around the next time. Though there was no next time. And overcome by grief, Kyo went after Anshin, and after a long chase sequence and vast amount of heartache and rage, Kyo transformed into a whole Nari Hanya and cooked Anshin alive before drowning herself. Now, I'm not saying that Shino is going to torch anyone in game, but her social description matches up quite closely to Princess Kyo, the most famous Hanya in No Theater. Both of them seem aloof and mysterious to most people, but when they find someone to latch onto, they latch hard, leading to all manner of problems. However, all that being said, that's only Shino's description in Pocket Camp. In New Horizons, there's another aspect about her that links her with another famous no Hanya. From the moment you meet her to the various conversations you have with her, Shino in-game gives off this air of pride and self-righteousness. The line, "I usually go glamping because reg camping isn't glam enough," not only makes her seem materialistic, but also a bit entitled. I mean, I know this is still Animal Crossing, and no matter the personality, everyone's still nice. But when it comes to faults, I think entitled is probably the best descriptor for Shino. It's small, but it's there. Now, let me tell you a little story about a gal named Rokujo no Miyasundo Koro, who also comes from one of the aforementioned plays that we mentioned. Her story comes from the tale of Genji, but has been adapted into No, which, alongside Kiyohime, has made her into one of the most well-known bad girls of the stage in Japan. Lady Rokujo had it all. Beauty, high rank, smarts, elegance, and was incredibly well-spoken and sophisticated. In fact, she was married to the next in line emperor. However, upon his death, she lost everything. Her power, her wealth, and her ambition. That is until she met another nobleman named Hikaru Genji, whom she fell head over heels for. Seems to be a pattern. But while she thought her beauty, nobility, and refinement could easily land him, Genji turned her down, which brewed resentment in Lady Rokujo. That is until that resentment grew into uncontrollable jealous rage, as one night her carriage collided into the carriage of Genji's proper wife, Lady Aoi, who was pregnant with Genji's baby. This was the breaking point, and her jealousy transformed her into an Ikiryo Hanya, where she would eternally haunt and curse Genji's family, forever wrathful because she didn't get what she thought she deserved. I know it's so slight that most people may say it's negligible, but once again, I'm finding very subtle connections between another famous Hanya and Shino's personality. That being an unhealthy air of entitlement and self-absorption, despite both Lady Rokujo and Shino having a sense of high-class propriety.
Man, that really was a lot, huh?
Dude, you have no idea. Okay, listen people, I actually had to gut 3 pages worth of scripting because I couldn't have this video turn into a half-hour-long science project. And all this cultural referencing that I've been making, yeah, this is all coming from New Horizons 2.0. That is a drop in the bucket compared to everything else I could talk about in-game. From architecture to activities to over a dozen different villagers, all of which having uniquely cultural ties.
So, what's stopping us from covering those later? I'm sure people would still like to hear about it later on.
Well, we'll see. But for now, a big thank you to Bokksu for sponsoring this video. Remember to check out the link in the description and not only take a literal bite out of Japan's culture, but also a chance to win 2 free tickets to Japan. Otherwise, if you want to learn more about culture and gaming and anime, be sure to sub up, get notified, and check back in about a week for our next video. But until then everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.